Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is your WREXtra time. I'm Paddy Power, and this is the local pundit. We are going to start a little bit different tonight because, unfortunately, there was an incident in one of the other matches today that I want to speak about, and that is the Charlton match. The Charlton match was abandoned at 12 minutes into the match today, unfortunately, due to a fan medical emergency. And Charlton have released a statement regarding that issue. So Charlton Athletic are devastated to report that a supporter has passed away following a medical emergency at the Valley today. Everybody at the club sends their heartfelt condolences to the supporters, family and friends at this difficult time. Obviously, the match is going to be postponed until a different date, and details will be forthcoming. So here at the local pundit, and for everybody who enjoys football around the world, I'm sure you all will agree with me saying that it is extremely unfortunate that this has happened, and that we're all devastated for the fan and his family, and we wish Charlton and everybody on that side the best in the future. Nobody wants this happen to anybody during a match or any team. So just our heartfelt condolences to Charlton Athletic, the person involved, his family, and everybody else as well. On behalf of Wrexham, on behalf of the local pundit, we hope you can manage this situation to the best of your ability. Thanks, everyone. Well, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. Another match down, another match without a loss. We have now had 9 matches without a loss, which is fantastic. But we have had a lot of draws, and it is slowly hurting us in the table. But let's keep it in perspective. We are in a very good position on the table. So, guys, this is WREXtra time, and if you don't know what WREXtra time is about, generally it is all about what you guys want to talk about. You come in, you have your say, and I will agree or disagree as I feel like it. I have put the link out there, so everybody is welcome to jump in and queue up in the back, and I will bring you onto the show as I can. But while we wait for someone to come on board and join us, I'm just going to go and throw my feelings out there, because I will say I'm a little disappointed in the numbers of people that have been jumping in to the show. Now, I'm eternally grateful for anybody who has come on the show. But guys, some of you please try and step up here. This show is supposed to be about you guys, but if you guys don't want to jump on the show, then it's going to become about me and I'll just rant. So let's have a quick look at the table first, is what I want to do. So I'll stop that screen, add a new screen. Where is the table? This one? Yep. Okay, so now you guys should be able to see the table here. We are currently in 12th with 27 points, and we are only 3 points off of Stoke in 6th. Now, we scored after 4 minutes, and I don't even know what time Preston scored. Preston scored at 81 minutes. All that time I was looking at the table, and the table looked gorgeous. We were ahead of Birmingham, we were ahead of Hull, we were ahead of Queen's Park Rangers, we were ahead of Southampton. We were sitting in 8th position. Now, these things happen, look, until the match is played and the result has been finalised, you get nothing. So be it. We do have a current situation with some players out, but for all of that, our attack was a little anemic today, but the lads did what we expect them to do. They played as a team. They played to the best of their ability. I will immediately give a shout out to AO. He had some fantastic saves today. He really kept us in it when we were under the pressure. And then ultimately there was the goal, which I do think he should have saved compared to everything else in the match. But these things happen. You know, if you allow a team to continue to shoot at you, then at some point something's going to slip in. It's going to bounce the wrong way or whatever. So yes, I will say I think AO should have saved that, but I'm not going to dump on him too much for that small mistake. There was mistakes in defence. It should have been cleared. It's not just a single fault here. It's not like nobody else was involved. So AO is a fantastic keeper. He really kept us in. So I'm okay with AO today. As for the rest of the team, I think we actually generally did quite well. As I said, our wings are where we have issues. Today we decided to go with Barney on the right and Maka on the left. Maka did pretty well today. He looked okay. Not amazing. I'm not going to say he was amazing, but he did a nice job. All our attacks seemed to go down the left-hand side through Maka today. Barney didn't really get much of a sniff of it, which I found unfortunate because we really needed to put a bit of pressure on Barney and see how good he is and what he's capable of doing. And I don't think he got that opportunity today. Why? Not quite sure. Maybe would you have favoured our left side and said it's a stronger side at the start of the match? I don't know. Both sides have lost their wing backs, obviously, with Kakache on the left and Kabore on the right hand side. So it was either Longman or Barney on the right. Do you think it was correct to put Barney in over Longman? Should Longman have been in over Maka? That is a talking point, and to be honest, we can talk around that in lots of different ways, and two things can be correct at the same time. So that's definitely a talking point. Kiefer Moore with the goal got in there at 4 minutes. He was in the perfect place, and their keeper spilled it, trying to block it, knocked it down into space, and Kiefer was Johnny on the spot and just had a simple tap to knock it across the line, which was a fantastic early goal. We did try and obviously keep them out then for the rest of the match. But here is another talking point. Is this Parky's responsibility today? Did Parky substitute at the right times? Did he substitute the right players? I would love to get your opinion on that, and I hope someone has an opinion to come in and talk about that today, because this is the old story that keeps bringing its head back up. Yes, we have a couple of weaknesses due to injuries, fine. Maybe our bench isn't as deep as we would like it, but it's the question between leaving the player on who is in the match and has gained, I suppose, a bit of experience with the player that they're working against, or do we need fresh legs? I take the side of we need the fresh legs. Whenever a player comes on, there's going to be a minute or two where they need to get into the match. They need to just take a second, figure out what they're doing, no matter how experienced they are, and get into the team, get in sync with the team. That's going to happen whether you do it at 60 minutes, at 70 minutes, or at 80 minutes. So if you consider that, then that's not really affecting when you swap out your players. I personally believe Parky swaps out the players too late. He is always second to the other team, almost religiously. Now, does he wait for the other team to make their subs? Is he tactically choosing what subs to put on based on what the other team does? I don't think so. But this is about your show, guys. This is your opinion. So come in and have a chat about them. And I will take this down for a minute. Let's have a look at the comments. A lot of talk about Birmingham. Birmingham had a loss today, or did they end up with a draw? What did they do? I think it was a loss. I'll check that in a moment. So today, what do we have? We have one Ponzin Real. I'm not sure if that's correct, but one Ponzin Real became a YouTube member. Thank you very much for joining the local pundit team. Every little bit of help is appreciated to keep the channel going. Sean BCFC is here. He's selling one Kyogo for £2.50 and a packet of crisps. if anybody wants him. He's not too happy with what Kyogo has been doing for them up front over at Birmingham. A lot of comments on that. Then we have Bruce McFarlane. An Aussie TV show producer hired an African witch doctor to lift the Socceroos World Cup qualification curse, and then they qualified. You might have to have a go at that for Kyogo. I like that. Maybe they do. Or maybe they don't, and then we beat them. Let's see. I was so disappointed we didn't move ahead of Birmingham today, just to at last say that, yes, we're ahead of Birmingham. And talk about it with John on Monday at the Champ Chat. But anyway, another week where we're behind Birmingham. Okay, leaving that aside. Right, guys, let me put the stream link out there. We have Habs in the house, as usual. Welcome, Habs. I will get to you shortly, and I'll bring you in. I'm just going to take a few minutes and rant for myself here. Okay, Habs there. Andrew McWater, 7616. Welcome. Esteban is here tonight. Habs is here. Mike Shane. Okay, who's he talking about here? We have 9 draws, 2 more than any other team. There are 7 teams with more losses that have more points than us. Playing strong defense gets us draws, which will not get us to the playoffs. That is an interesting point. I like it. It does make sense. However, something I will say here is that consistency is important to getting the playoffs, and consistently not losing is generally important. So why do I say this? Because we still have a second half of the season to come. And if we are getting these draws, then we can improve that easier to turn them to wins than if we had more losses. So, yeah, I get your point. I agree with it in a lot of respects, but I am more on the positive side that those draws can be changed into wins. Now, as that happens, it appears, I don't know the exact number, but I was talking to Aaron during the match. We were watching it together. And he said that we have now lost in the region of 15 points from winning positions during our matches since the start of the season. That is a lot of points. A lot of points to be losing. So that kind of links up with what Mike was saying there. So moving on then, we have Mike and Massaro 6576. Don't recognize that name, but you are a member, so welcome, Mike. Today is a draw that felt like a loss. Yes, I do agree. I do think today feels like a loss. However, does anyone disagree with me that Stoke were the better team and probably deserved the draw? I don't think we were good enough to deserve the win. But let's not forget, deserving doesn't mean nada. Not a thing in these leagues. It's what the result is at the end of the day. Nobody cares how well you played or how badly you played. The only thing that people care about at the end of the season is how many points do you have on the table and what do those points get you. So, yeah, I agree. Mike then brings up that Stoke are fading. Yeah, they had a hard time of it today. And Sheffield United are surging. They had a fantastic result today. I'll bring up the results in a moment and we can have a look at them. Esteban says, what is up with that Blackburn pitch? Though I didn't actually watch the match and I didn't see the Blackburn pitch. So we'll have a look at that. Mike again. AO, great. Missed the near post, but it was a bang on his heels. Tough one. Okay. Sub too late as usual as well by Mike there. Sean is saying usually the team losing will make the change first. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of fair enough, but I still say I don't care. We know our team is not perfect. We know who is getting leggy at that time. We know who we pressure to run their ass off for the entire match. And Parky leaves it a little bit late. We get tired. And in that 60 to 75-minute period, there's a lot of danger that comes our way because players are tired and they're not playing as well. And it's not something he seems to be reacting to. Maybe he doesn't think it needs to be reacted to, but I personally do. Okay, Mark Griffith said something funny earlier. Both teams deserve to win unless it's Preston. Okay. Still above Wrexham from Skizzy. Okay. Skizzy, if you're still here, who are you a fan of? Just because I like to know. You're more than welcome to have a shot at us, by the way, that's fine. No problem, don't mind that at all. Okay, Dave Pikey is here, welcome. Beetle saves the hard ones and fluffs the easy ones. Okay. Matt White, let's see what Matt White's saying. I'd rather be 4-5-0 in the last 9 over 5-2-2 to get the same points. Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, actually. I do. Yeah. Consistently not being easy to beat is important. Sean throwing it back at me. You could also turn those draws into losses if it goes well. Yes. Correct. Of course we can. But if you're already losing and then getting the odd extra win, yeah, I just don't like the idea of losing. The mentality of losing can hurt the team, can cause negativity, and I don't like it. Okay, skipping all the comments in Birmingham. Those comments are for Monday night, boys, on Champ Chat when I have John to sound out on it. Okay, still having a look. Okay, Donna. Where's your comment on it? There it is. I'm surprised that O'Brien didn't see any playing time. Yeah, I kind of agree with this. I think he would have been a good presence in that midfield. Because I know we had the goal and going defensive is important, but we maybe went overly defensive and had zero attacking presence in that final 20 minutes. I think that hurt us. Habs, I'm just going to get through these comments and I'll take you straight in. 2 minutes, buddy. Anybody else who wants to come in tonight as well, guys, jump in and queue up in the back, please. Habs is always on, and I love Habs. I would like to see some new faces on the show. Okay, so Esteban says the Blackburn pitch became waterlogged again, apparently, so they had to suspend the game again. Really? Tell me more. Was this just for a short period of time, or what happened? Okay, Dave says we have to look at who we played in the last 9 games as well. I think we are right in the thick of it, especially with the injuries we have at the minute. Okay, I will do that. I'll actually go back over the 9 matches and see whether we think they're good or not. The injuries. Mike is asking about Lewis O'Brien being injured. Well, Lewis O'Brien was on the subs bench, wasn't he? So, no, I don't think he is. Aaron is saying that Moore should not be playing 90 minutes ever. Okay. Okay, so let me leave it at that for the moment. I will have a look at both the matches today and our last 9 matches. But Habs has been waiting. So hello, Habs. How are you doing?
Yeah. What's going on?
Good. I said I'll have a look at the other matches and stuff, but I'll give them a few minutes for that. What do you have to say today? Is there anything in particular you want to pull out?
We should have won the match.
But did we deserve to win the match?
Did we deserve to win the match? No, but we could have won the match. We could have quite easily have won the match. We could have. They were playing extremely open. They were as well. So that gave us so much opportunity for us to be able to at least go in and attack a lot more. But Parky decided to go and be predictable and, do what Parky does, go too defensive. And that cost us that goal. They just kept constantly peppering us and they kept getting corners after corners. And I understand the reason why, but they were eventually breathing down on us. And then all of a sudden, you see when we go onto the attack, they start freaking out. They do. They know that when we attack, we can attack hard and we can take them on. But it just seems like it was a mess from that point.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that one. Okay, I've just had a look here while I was listening to you. And yes, the Blackburn Rovers versus Sheffield Wednesday match was abandoned as well. Officially abandoned. And they were 1-0 up.
I suspect that was going to happen anyway. Especially with the rain that we was having with our match.
Okay. Anything else in specific you want to bring up before I start pulling up things?
What, the Blackburn match?
No, our match before. I know I jumped off topic there, but we'll get to that in a minute. So our match, any specific talking points we can do before we hit the rest of the league?
Extremely late subs. Once again, that is killing us.
Okay, so you're definitely on the side of Parky subs too late.
Yeah, too late. Tactically, we sat too deep. We did, and we did not go on the attack enough. We were relying far too much on counter-attacking. So there were moments where there were moments that you can see when we do get the ball, we do get the possession, and we start going on the attack, when we start pressing them, that we can pin them in their box. We can. There were moments of it where we can do that. We can pin them in their box and make sure that they're basically stuck there, having to be playing defense. But instead, we decided to give them the ball most of the time, and then we started to play defense, and the pressure was just constantly just ratcheting up to the point where it was just not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it as well. We're just in a position where I think we know players are getting tired at around that point, and we play so much defense and we demand so much of the players. You need to be swapping them out. We have near like-for-like players on the bench. So yeah, I don't see the value in waiting an extra 5-10 minutes rather than bringing them on that bit earlier and shoring up the defense, especially when we're ahead. Maybe
it takes about 5 to 7 minutes for the players to get themselves properly going in the match when you do the subs.
Yeah, and that's going to happen no matter when you put them on. So it doesn't matter whether they're on at 75 minutes or 65 minutes. You still have that transition period where they need to come on and get in with the rest of the team.
And that killed us, that aspect of it, because you can tell well, as soon as we came out on the second half, we were going on the attack. We were immediately starting to press them, but I could tell that looked kind of like, okay, the first 10-15 minutes, you could say, around that point, we were pressing them, but I could tell that there was going to be a massive drop off there was in terms of the energy, and you could see it. They were just declining, and they just kept pinning us in our end. And simultaneously, it might have just been part of Parky's tactics to just keep us pinned in our own area, which didn't help really. So
yeah. Okay, Matt White here is saying not subbing Thomason for, say, Lewis O'Brien is a confusing one for me. Yeah, Lewis O'Brien is not a defensive kind of player, but he is quick And for me, the speed is important, especially at the later part of the match. You know, you need a bit of pace, you need a bit of quickness. If you get the ball to him, he's gone. He's on the attack and the momentum is gone. It's out of our half of the pitch. So that can be important.
Especially for the midfield as well. Especially for the midfield. Because you could tell there were moments, like you could tell at moments when McLean had to try and run with some of the other players, because they were attacking through the wings as well, on the byline, and you can tell he couldn't keep up. There was moments where someone just, I can't remember which player it was, he just ran straight past him.
Yeah,
it was in the first half. They just ran straight past them. They did.
Yeah. So Sean is making an interesting point here, and I'd like to be clear on my point. So he says Lewis O'Brien, if you ask him to play more defensively, especially with Sheaf and Dobson already there. I'm not quite asking him to play more defensively. My point is that if you bring on, it's the old adage, attack is your best form of defense. Well, if you bring on a player like Lewis O'Brien, that is kind of my point. If you get the ball to O'Brien, or when O'Brien gets the ball, he is going to go on a quick attack. And that attack is going to break up play, and it is going to at least relieve the pressure for a period of time. So pure defense is not the only way to actually help you stay defensive. And if you go completely negative in defense, it just allows the other team to pepper the goal, shots, keep control, break you down, and make you tired. So you do need some attacking element. And we had poor attacking elements today. We did. We weren't great on the attack. So I personally think Lewis O'Brien would have been a good player to bring on for that reason. Okay, so before we hit anything else, let me bring up today's results. Stop this screen. One sec, guys. I keep touching the wrong buttons. Touching buttons, people. Touching buttons. Share screen. There we go. Okay, so here are the results of today's match. We had yesterday Middlesbrough took out Hull City 4-1. Big result there, but Middlesbrough were expected to win that one, of course. Today we had Charlton Athletic versus Portsmouth, which unfortunately was abandoned due to the issue with the fan having a medical problem and dying, unfortunately. Then we have Leicester City away took out Derby 3-1. Watford at home 3-2 to Norwich. Norwich were winning that for a while, actually. Then we had Blackburn Rovers versus Sheffield Wednesday, abandoned due to waterlogged pitch again. They need to figure out that pitch. That's crazy. Bristol City versus Millwall. Millwall eventually took it out with a 1-0 there. Ipswich Town 3-0. 3-0 versus Coventry. That's a big result for them. Now Coventry can afford to lose, so I don't really care that much. But big result for Ipswich to show that they are absolutely on the up.
It looks like both. It looks like both Southampton and Ipswich are starting to switch on now. So
yes, it does. Yeah, absolutely. And then just the last results there. So we have Wrexham Preston North End 1-1, obviously. QPR 3-1 versus West Bromwich Albion. Sheffield United 4-0 versus Stoke. That is a great result for them. They have had generally poor results. They've been doing better lately, but 4-0 versus Stoke is a big result, showing that they're on the up. Southampton did well as well. They're on the up. 3-1 versus Birmingham. Swansea City took the win 2-0 versus Oxford, keeping themselves out of the relegation zone as well. Yeah, so there's some big teams here coming up for the playoffs. Sheffield United will take a little bit longer, of course, but Southampton's on the way up. Ipswich Town have already kind of pulled themselves back. It doesn't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon. So any shock results there for you, or pretty much par for the course?
More or less. It's going to be. It would. I wasn't too shocked, especially with Sheffield United, but I didn't expect them to beat them that hard. But then again, Stoke is starting to fall away, and Sheffield United is starting to just come back on. They're on a what, like 3 or 4 wins now at this point.
Yeah, they are. Let's have a quick look then, as soon as you called it. So Sheffield United. Yeah, so the last 3 in a row, they had 4-0 versus Stoke, 3-2 versus Leicester, 3-0 versus Portsmouth, and then prior to that, 3-0 versus Sheffield Wednesday, and then back to a draw with QPR. So that's pretty good going for them. They're definitely on form, hitting their hot streak. And while we're doing it, let's have a look at Southampton. Because Southampton are on a roll as well. So today, 3-1 versus Birmingham. They lost out 3-2 in the last match to Millwall. 3-0 versus Leicester. 5-1 versus Charlton. 3-1 versus Sheffield Wednesday. 2-1 versus QPR. Decent results for them. But they haven't had amazing teams, so that's okay. Kind of a little bit hit and missy there. But they're picking up points, which is ultimately the important part there.
And you can see that their quality, the depth and the quality that they have as well.
Yes, you can see their team is absolute quality in general. So they have the ability to get better. That's Middlesbrough, Kim Hellberg. Nope. Southampton, wasn't it? Yes, I think it was Southampton have appointed Tonda Eckert today.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, so Southampton have been getting the good results we just showed, but they have now actually appointed their interim manager as their manager. So good for him. We've been talking about that on Champ Chat for a while. But obviously, they've made that decision now. Could they have kept it a bit longer? Does it not show fate if they don't give him the contract? Who knows? But they made the decision, and I suppose he deserves it. They're under 21 manager getting promoted. Okay. Now Matt Walsh has a question. Matt White has a question here. I keep saying Matt Walsh for some reason. I do think if we can sneak into the playoffs, we can beat anybody in this league. Yeah, that's a fair enough comment. But at the same time, don't you say that about a lot of people in the league? A lot of people can beat everybody. It's one of those tough leagues where it's about consistency. It's about pulling out those hard matches back to back to back, and that's what gets you to win it. But yes, I don't think there's nobody in the league that we absolutely cannot beat. So you get into these playoffs, you have a shot at the playoffs. That's absolutely true. Guys, I'm going to drop the link in again into chat. Have we got anybody else coming in tonight? Because I have been out all day, and it will be a shorter show today if nobody else wants to come in. But we still have plenty to talk about. So next up, let's have a look at our match and see what FOTMob thought of our players. Do we agree? Do we not agree? Okay, so stats first up. We know it was Moore at 4 minutes and Armstrong at 81 minutes. Momentum was mainly in their side, obviously. They had 57% possession, 43% to us, which is kind of perfect. That's what we like. We like our opposition teams to keep 60%. We take 40% and then steal the win. But we did allow them 24 total shots, 2 big chances. We had 9 total shots with 2 big chances, and 24 is a lot. You know, guys, it really is a lot there to do that. Right, can everybody see this? Let's check my screen. Yes. Okay, so FOTMOB has Arthur Okonkwo at 7.6. I do kind of agree with that. I know, of course, he's going to lose quite a few points because a goal came in. I do ultimately think it was probably his mistake that the goal got in. He should have had that saved, but there was so many top-end saves he pulled off today. That's what pushed his result up. So I'm okay with that. High and then in the back row, 7.3, Scar 6.7, Kluart 6.8. Let's start with the back row. Any big points you want to bring up on them?
I mean, the defence were more or less functioning as they were. I mean, I can't give them much of a fault. On any other day, they would have been fine. But this was just basically. It was a bit of it was a heavy match as well, since there was a lot of rain as well, and there was a lot of slipping and sliding all over the place. That should be taken into consideration, along with Arthur's goal saving ability. I mean, he did what he could.
Yeah,
and he was saving so, like, there was that one moment where they tried to score twice, and he just saved it twice while he was on the ground as well. Like,
yeah.
There's not much you can really say. Max was in there as well. He's always in the mix, pushing the game forward as well. He was part of helping the game move forward, but it was just, just being stuck.
Okay.
Overall, they were okay. There was not much you could do. It was kind of an end-to-end match. It was most of the time with those three.
Yeah, and a lot was asked of them today, in fairness, and they did a generally good job. But it takes a team to keep them out. So yeah, I didn't see any critical errors, any big mistakes as such. So that's kind of interesting.
I couldn't see anything wrong with them either. They just did what they had to do, and it was just, it's like laps. That was all it was. It wasn't even really a lapse. It was more. What's the thing? Eventually, they just kept coming at us, and we just did nothing.
Yeah, it was really hard to break out, wasn't it? It was just deflection, chase the ball. It was really tough, yeah. Okay, then let's go central midfield. We had Sheaf, Dobson, and Thomason. Anyone stand out there? Oh, so I better do the points here, sorry. Sheaf got 7.9. Is that correct? My eyes? Yeah, 7.9. 7.6 for Dobson, 6.7 for Thomason. So Thomason was the lowest on the FOTMOB tracker.
I guess it's fair. I mean, Thomason was doing a lot, but you'd have to give him the ball to be able to do the work that he needs to do.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have a lot of issues with the players today. I'll be straight in saying that. I didn't see any massive mistakes.
I didn't. Same. I didn't see really any problem with the players either. They were doing exactly what they were told to do. Well, I wouldn't say they were told to do, but they were doing exactly their job of just trying to get a goal. And then, I mean, the ratings on there, I mean, they're okay.
They're not bad. They're not terrible ratings in it. Like, we're absolutely dominated. We did have our opportunities. Now, I don't think this was addressed directly at me, but I'm going to bring up a comment here from Matt White, and it's an interesting point. And it was addressing other comments. Not saying we would get the playoffs, just that a few extra wins would push us into the playoffs. So much negativity today. So I'm going to address this a little bit, even though it kind of wasn't directly at me. Negativity. I don't think I'm being negative today. I'm being realistic. I'm being straightforward. I haven't criticized any players too hard. I don't think any players deserve huge criticism today. And the truth is, we are missing our wingers, our first starting winger, both sides, and our wings are crucial to our team. So we are going to be a weaker team without them, and we're going to have to live with this until January. So I will call it the way I see it. But I don't think today was a particularly bad performance. Preston are a very good team. They're very solid, and they're in the top end of the table. So no, I think it was a good result. And I see your comment there, Matt White. I know you're not directing this directly at me or whatever. I'm just bringing it up because I wanted to speak about it to everybody. Because something that does get thrown at me / at the team sometimes is being overly negative. And when you see something wrong, you need to call it out. But it's up to people to understand the level of criticism that is coming. We're here to analyze this. We're here to look at this in general. So it is what it is. I'm not going to come in here and just be positive about absolutely everything. If it's not perfect, but we don't need perfection. We don't need perfection to get to the playoffs. So some people maybe, I think, take it a little bit too much to heart when we analyze stuff and have a look at it. And yeah, I suppose depending on your own opinion, it can look a little bit negative. But that's not the intent. This is the after show, and if you're deep diving into this with us, then I think it's important to understand that we are kind of diving into the nitty gritty, and these are small things here with little changes. And we do have a shot at the playoffs if we can hold our position relatively stable to January. And at the moment, we are close enough to the playoffs that's what we need. We can upgrade in January. We can figure out if we need more players and go from there. So it's way too early to be overly worried about positioning, but we are in a good position. So let me say that straight out. I'm comfortable with where we are. I wouldn't like to slide too much from where we are, but it was a fairly good result today with a draw.
The points are still tight. The points are still tight.
The points are absolutely still tight. I will say, look, I'm disappointed because I was looking at the table. I was watching the table on my other screen, and it looked so nice when we were winning, and we were ahead of Birmingham, and we were just 2 points off the playoff. And I think that is more disappointing than anything. Is just that I had my expectations. Oh, look, we're doing fantastic. Great win today. It's the hope. Yeah, but I know I'm realistic. I know how close we are. We are close, guys. So keep that in mind yourself as we deep dive into this. Okay, so again, midfield, no issues there today. Wings then. Wings are important. McLean on the left. I'm going to do these individually. So McLean, I thought he had a fairly good match today. He got an assist on the goal. He crossed it in that Moore got on the end of. So good match today for McLean.
More or less, yeah. More or less. There's not much I got anything to say other than the fact that he is slow. That's about it.
Yeah, it's look. I suppose everybody knows what McLean's ceiling is, so we're kind of judging McLean at his ceiling now at the moment. There's no need to dive into the rest of the league and how we'd like someone better. He's not our first 11 if we had our other players. So for him, for who he is, I think he was very solid today. He was playing at kind of at his level. He got us the assist on the goal. He played well defensively. He got crosses in. And I don't think there's much more you could ask of him. It's my alarm, guys. Sorry about that. I keep forgetting about this. Let's switch it off before someone gives out to me. Got given out to last week for my alarm being on. Okay, alarm. It's off. Right. No, so you agree with me. McLean had a decent game for himself.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, he did what he can as well. Like he was fighting for every inch on that pitch as well. So, and trying to get those crosses in.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with Barney as well.
Okay, let's switch it to Barney over on the right-hand side. He's a 6.8 according to FootMob.
That was largely because of he wasn't. He didn't look as good. I think he's reached his ceiling. Maybe, or it could just be. It could just be that he didn't do the things that he was required to do. But when you see him do his crosses, they were deadly. Those were some deadly crosses every time.
Yeah,
those were deadly every time. If anyone was on the end of that, it would have just went in.
Yes.
But
There was one of the crosses he did where it was a long ball over to Barney from the left wing over to the right, and he dropped the ball, took his pace, and then crossed it into an empty box. And I was just looking at that, and I was thinking to the rest of the team, guys, you know Barney. Barney does what Barney does. When you see that ball coming over to be crossed to him, for him to retrieve, like, why aren't you attacking that box? Why was there nobody in there? Everybody knows this is what Barney does. He's good at this. And if somebody had been in there to get on the back of one of these headers, that is previously how we used to score. Have they all forgotten who Barney is? Now, maybe it was just a one-off and they just, they were out of position or whatever. So I'm not going to make too big a deal of it. But maybe they don't. A lot of these players are new and haven't played with Barney.
I know which one you're on about. It's the bit where Barney does a cross. Everyone's just standing just outside of the box, and then McLean gets at the end of it and kicks the ball. I think either it goes over the crossbar or something. I can't remember the exact moment of that.
I think that's a different one. My one, it went to nobody. There was nobody in there at all. Nobody got in the end of it.
But I can't blame him because a lot of the players have not had a chance to play with Barney.
That's a very valid point that I just kind of mentioned. Is like, I forget that these players are new. Most of these players haven't played with Barney, and maybe they don't understand who Barney is. That's exactly what Barney does again and again and again, and it's his positive and it's also his flaw. In that's probably why he got taken out of the team, is because it's the only thing he can do, maybe at an absolute top level. So maybe he needs time playing with another championship team to become championship level quality. I think it's hurting him not being in the team. So I don't know where his level is. Do you think Barney is championship level, albeit lower championship?
I'm thinking that as well. Maybe he is a bit more on a lower championship level quality team. The problem is that we ask him to play as wing back. He's not the best on defensive duties, and he doesn't have the pace either. But he is deadly pinpoint accurate. He is, and he will get the ball over into the dangerous areas. And if you're there, or if you're in that position, he'll get that ball over to you as well. So his ability to cross is way above. Is one of the top things. It's probably one of the top in the leagues.
Yeah. Now, some comments here I want to bring up. Madal says, Barney wound up falling into the same trap that plagued him last season. He's too fast and no one ran to meet the ball. He's too quick, even with his time-wasting step-overs. No one is there to meet that ball. I agree with that mostly. Yeah, I do. Certainly in the situation I mentioned where the ball came into nobody, because it was an immediate. He took the ball down, he took a step, and he launched that ball into the box, and there was no one there. And Sean here has an interesting comment. As a neutral, I think Barnett can be a squad player in the championship, but no one in the championship would go out and buy him. Okay, yeah. So I absolutely believe he's League One level. There's a lot of teams in League One could do with Barney. Absolutely. Definitely squad player level for teams in the championship. I kind of agree with that too. But he needs to shine. He needs to show maybe a bit more in the championship. But he could very well be a championship player. But yeah, he's also getting a little. Sorry, go on. He is one note a little bit. Now, maybe that's partly because of the defensive duties. Maybe not. If he just played winger on a different configuration, maybe it would be better for him. Who knows? And Madal reminds us, Fletcher figured it out with Barney, and that's where the goals came from last season. Fletcher figured out where Barney was putting the balls, and he got there. So that's a fair point. I agree with that. Okay, so before we move on, let me ask the question. And guys, in the chat, I want you to answer this too. We have essentially three wingers at the moment. We have McLean on the left, Barney on the right, and we have Longman, who is able to cover both sides. Next match, who do you play? Habs for you first. In the chat, quick guys. Left and right wing, who are you playing next match?
We're against Hull, so they're going to be attacking hard. They are, so I'd have to put. I would have to put Longman, McLean.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to do Longman and McLean because we're going to need
in the chat,
pace.
guys. Madal says unchanged, so Madal would like it to be McLean and Barney still. Okay. Anyone else in the chat there, guys? Throw it up. I'm not sure. Is my answer. But I answer my own question because I asked the question. I would put Longman on for the next one. I think Longman on the right and Barney and Macca on the left, and then I bring Barney in later if needed, and maybe take McLean off unless McLean is doing well and Longman has a bad one. Now Matt has come up with the other alternative, so we now have had all versions. Longman on the left, Barney on the right. And he said Macca needs the break because Macca has been playing the last two. So not quite sure anybody needs a break at the moment because we've just come back from a week off. We had a full break between the last match, but I do get the point. And it's kind of interesting that we can have this discussion about who is playing between all three of them, because there isn't an absolute guaranteed answer, is there? Sean is just asking, hang on, before Sean, Donna, I'd give Doyle a try on the left wing back. This has been mentioned a lot lately. We have no idea whether it's in Parky's mind to even consider putting Doyle on his left wing back. Obviously, the issue is that what's Doyle like with crossing and with getting the ball into other players, because that's how we use our wingers. Yes, defensively, he should be okay. He's pretty fast on the ball. We maybe need a bit more attacking pressure. I don't mind the idea, but it could be an absolute 0% chance in Parky's mind to try Doyle out there unless somebody else gets injured. So first of all, so your thoughts on Doyle there, seeing as it was mentioned before I bring up Sean's comment. So do you think we should have brought on Doyle today? Would he have been a good use?
Yeah, we should have brought him in because we started just basically chasing shadows at that point. I would have taken Scar off and put Doyle in, kept Hyam in, put Hyam in the middle, and then asked, and then basically get Doyle starting on the attack. If we're not going to put him as left wing back, just put him on the left centre back, and he'll start progressing the game forward. His ball carrying and passing ability is significantly better than everyone else's on in the championship.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't think it's going to be tried as a left wing back though until we have more injuries. So as much as I like maybe trying it, I don't think Parky is going to do that. Then Sean brings up, have you tried O'Brien on the left? No, we have not tried O'Brien on the left. This could be another potential question. What do you think of O'Brien on the left? Defensively, is he good enough?
He could work out in terms of defense because he can go back. He'll be able to track back pretty quickly. But the only problem with that is if you tried doing that, it would also ruin our defense in a sense. No, not our defense, our attack. But then again, he would be able to track back. He can track forward as well. So
It's an interesting, it's hard to say. It's interesting. I don't think any of this is going to happen until we have a couple of injuries and Parky's forced to try some of these changes. Would be interesting if there was any sneaky insiders watching training to see if any of them are ever tried out in this position, in those positions in training. You know, even just as a, guys, I'm not going to do this, but I want you to practice it just in case we get more injuries, you know. Yeah. And Matt has said it here. This is a great answer. The conundrum is, how much do we push attack at the sake of our defense? We're getting a lot of draws because our defense is generally working quite well. And considering the amount of time we spent on defense today, a draw against Preston is ultimately a very good result. So yeah, how much do we push attacking players versus defensive players? I've said it already tonight. My opinion is we should be pushing some more attacking players in order to help with the defense, to get the ball out, to hold the ball away from the defensive duties once we get it. Because if we go purely defensive, we just pass the ball back to them way too quick.
The issue is that we'll end up having to keep soaking up the pressure every time, and eventually you will just break. You'll have that moment where it will break through. It just will break through, and they will get that score. And once that happens, you can no longer stay in that position.
Okay.
Because the game opens up. Because if the tactic becomes, okay, we're going to stay in defense, we're going to low block this, we're going to go on a counter, or we're going to try and do something, you're going to eventually get to the point where you're going to have to open up, because now they've scored on you, and you're going to have to try and get one back. But if you've been psychologically, if you've been set to be able to play, if you set your mind on a particular type of play in the game, you're going to stick to that plan. But if all of a sudden your plan gets screwed over, what do you do then? What's your plan B?
Defense at all costs just gives you the mentality and the mindset of that. I will say, though, I did say in the pre-show that I don't think Parky's set up today purely defensively. So I will give him that. I don't think he aimed for a draw today. He did try and give us options for attack, and I think the Barney option was a decent tactic to put him in to get crosses in the box. Now, we didn't really play up the right-hand side very much today, which I found a little bit strange, considering we brought on Barney for that reason. But yeah, I agree we need to have a bit more of that attacking mentality, because at certain points our counters became poor. They didn't counter as a unit, as a team, to break them down. It became a little bit rabbit in the headlines. Oh God, we have to keep these balls out.
It just got to hoofing. That's all it got to. It's purely got down to hoofing.
Yeah.
And we were just stuck hoofing the ball up every time, instead of being able to get the ball, control it, and get out of the area. There were moments where we did that, but that was more like counter-attacking football, instead of being able to control it in the midfield or on the wings, and then be able to scare them and demoralize them in any kind of way. But that just looked like League One, League Two nonsense. That did to me. Just hoof the ball and hope for the best.
Yeah. Okay, two more here. I'm going to jump back to Scar just because it's a comment. So, Gemler, excuse me. Also for me, Scar needs to go back to the bench. Worked for a while, but we look average to below average again with Scar in the middle. Do you think any of that looking average is Scar's fault? Should we be looking at taking Scar out? So obviously that would mean the change in the back. So I don't know. Hyam would have to come into the middle, of course, and then Doyle coming in on the left. What do you think?
It depends.
Is that harsh on Scar?
It is harsh. That's extremely harsh to say that. I mean, he's been doing the defensive duties that we have. He's been keeping our back line completely solid, and he's kept so many different goals from coming through. But that isn't really his fault. It was the setup.
Yeah.
And then the general direction and the general trend and direction of the match, the way it was going, where we were just falling further and further and further back, deeper into our own box, to the point where we were just basically stuck there most of the time. It was just happening over time. It was, instead of just putting the pressure back on them, the pressure was just being put on us, and thus more pressure was being put on our back line to do this. And then what you end up having is just crowding in the box all of a sudden.
Yeah.
If you end up having that crowding, then you have all this traffic in between, and everyone's just scrambling for this.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna switch topics. We've hit most of the players there. It was mentioned earlier, have a look at the teams we've played, because we're talking about wins and draws. And Scum Army brings it up here, which is what brought my mind back to it. Unbeaten in 7, you boys are flying. Well, you say unbeaten in 7, but if we ignore the cup, then we're actually unbeaten in 9 in the league. League only, we are unbeaten in 9. So lots of draws in there, but let's have a quick look back at them. So I'm going to switch this off. And I'm going to share my screen again. Well, let's have a look at this. Okay, so last 3 matches there. Is it showing on screen? What's going on? Is it showing on screen? No.
No, it's not showing up.
There we go. It should be showing now. Okay,
Yep,
so obviously we had a 1-1 draw today. We had a 1-1 draw at home versus Blackburn last week. Then we had a 2-0 home win versus Bristol City. And then previous to that, I'm going to have to move that comment away. There we go. Everything's in my way today. Okay, we had a 0-0 draw versus Ipswich, which was fairly good because they've now come back into form. Wrexham 1-0 versus Charlton. 0-0 versus Portsmouth. We had a 3-2 win versus Coventry, our big win. Then it was the cup loss, which we're not going to count. Then we had a Middlesbrough 1-1 and then a 1-0 win against Oxford. And is that the last one? Yes, that's the last one. And then we had a Stoke loss. So going through those, we had Oxford home win. Yeah, we can say we should have beaten them. A draw versus Middlesbrough, very tough team. They'll be up there, a good result. We had a fantastic win versus Coventry 3-2 at home, took them to the cleaners there. First one here, draw versus Portsmouth. They're very tough at home to play against, but that's one maybe we kind of should have won, but didn't. So, okay, so be it. We had a 1-0 win versus Charlton. Not great, being only 1-0, but who cares? It's still 3 points. Then we had a 0 draw versus Ipswich. They weren't playing amazingly at the time we played them, but they are a very tough team, and playing them away, I think a draw was a very solid result there. And then a win versus Bristol City, very good team. Nice win for us, probably one of our best wins of the season. Draw versus Blackburn, a little bit disappointed with that one, and now a draw versus Preston. So the Blackburn one is a bit more disappointing because of where they are on the table, and it being a home win, a home draw for us. So did you agree with what I said there for those wins and losses? Should we have done better? Should we not? Did we play adequately versus those teams?
We should have. There are some of those where we should have won. Some of them we should have won. There's quite, because we've lost out on so many points to be higher up on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, a 1-0 win is no different than a 3-0 win if you're only looking at it in terms of just goal differentials. But overall, it's not really any different. So, I mean, we should have beaten Blackburn. We could have easily beaten Blackburn, but we didn't. It gets frustrating. That's what it is. It's that the draws become frustrating after a certain point because we know we can win these matches. It's not like we're taking constant losses and then we get demoralized saying, well, what are we doing wrong? It's more like when we get these draws, they become frustrating after a certain point because we know we can win them.
Yeah, but let's just look back to the last couple of seasons. We were known for an amazing home form and often quite poor results away, including to really weak teams. We had losses. So I think this is better. And as I made the point earlier, I think a lot of these draws, we can see them as having been an opportunity to win. And if we get the team together a little bit better in the second half, for me, it's very positive. It's very optimistic that most of those draws, we could have won the match. We weren't scraping a draw. You know, we were leading and then maybe we screwed it up or what have you. But we definitely had opportunities to win them, and we have not lost, including to some of the best teams in that last run of 9 matches. That's a really good showing.
That is true. That is true. I mean, there was one exception, which was Blackburn, where we had to change the match, and that was at home.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. It is overall, I'm not too bothered with this. This is still a free hit for us, and we're still doing good. And it is December, and the run of games that come at you thick and fast as well. So yeah. it becomes this becomes quite a congested congested month when it comes to football games.
Yeah, this is the interesting point here that we're going to have to look at. Is we are now down to kind of the nitty-gritty. We're hitting the Christmas period. We have a lot of matches coming back to back. This last week was, I think, the last week that we have a single match. So it's going to be weekend, midweek, the whole way up to Christmas and into the new year, basically. So it's really important. I will say, though, I believe most of our tough matches are gone. We have a couple of easier matches coming up now to Christmas, and we need to pull out similar results to what we have been doing. We need to stay near that playoff pack. We don't have to be in it necessarily just yet, but I would like to be really close come January. And I do expect we will bring in a couple of players that will improve the team. Because we haven't had some of our best players, Kakache and Kabore, when they have played, they have looked really good. And our wing backs are really important to how we play. So we need to get that resolved. And if we need to bring new wing backs in January, so be it.
They are part of our attacking strategy,
They are, absolutely.
And they're part of our possession strategy as well. So it becomes. I don't want to poo-poo the current wingbacks that we've got right now, but we seriously need. Like, you can tell how different our attack is right now, and we're trying to rely. You can just tell by the pace and the speed of our attack that is no longer there since we don't have Kakachi and Kabore on both sides. Because when we had them, we didn't even worry about having to go back and sit deep. We were constantly going forward. Yeah. And if we didn't have to, we would just play possession and just screw around with the other team.
Yeah, the big issue for me that we can see is now currently lacking again is without our top end wing backs, the play is not stretched across the pitch in the same way. So when we had Kakache and Kabore out on the wings, the defenders had to push out because they couldn't leave them alone. If you didn't watch the wing backs, then that we would send the ball straight to them and they'd be up the wings and in attack mode. So you have to cover them. If you're covering both wing backs and not just one, because for a lot of the season we only had one kind of top end wing back and he was double teamed Kabore, let's say, and it hurt his chances. But in this scenario, when you have to cover both, you can't double team as easily. And then we can play it into the middle. We can actually do passing channels, passing play up the middle, because it's not so congested, because they're watching our wing backs. If they come inside and try and get the ball in the middle, then we pass it out to the wing backs. If we pass it out to the wing backs and they chase them, they leave holes in the middle to help us get in there or switch to the other wing. So it's really important how we play. We drag them around, yeah.
We drag them around because our wing backs are pacey. We've got pacey wing backs who move. You see, you know, do you remember that commentary match when we was up against when we got our third goal, and Kakachi was going after Sakamoto. Sakamoto is a fast player, and he chased him down.
Yeah,
he chased him down, and they all know this is a scary tactic. When they go up against us, if they know if we have Kabore and Kakachi on there, they're scared. Everyone knows that you can't match them pace for pace, and they will run down. They have to put overloads on both of them, and if they try to put overloads on them, that opens up space for Max to be able to go and act like an inverted fullback, and he goes through the middle, and thus he opens up the sense of attack as well in our passing game through the middle, and so they're basically stuck having to deal with a massive crowding that's going to start taking place. So they end up being pinned back every time. So they can't do that. So they have to basically come back and try and go through the middle. And if they try to go through the middle, we go through to our wing backs, and our wing backs are fast. They go forward, and they could cross inwards like a Kabore's on the ground crossing.
Yeah.
This is the way we play, and they know this. And if they try to stop, and even though they try and deploy tactics to stop it, they can't. Basically, I look at it as our wing backs are like light infantry. They're just there to harass as much as possible their defense as much as possible. And if you try to mess with them, they won't be able to do anything about it, and they can pass it straight to the middle and play the middle game. And we would usually have O'Brien, who usually has freed up space to create that kind of space to be able to push further forward. That's why when we was up against Blackburn Rovers, we didn't have that kind of creativity in the middle, because we didn't have that pace on the wings that we would usually have.
Yeah. I just hope we can keep it all together till January. And considering we are waiting till January to sort a couple of problems,
that's basically it.
We're in a great position. Yeah.
we need another 40 months. We've fought what, like 38, 39 kilometer per hour pacey wing backs. We're doing that again. But that's what we're going to need. We're going to need that because our wing backs are so essential to our attack and our defense as well. Because they can get up and they can come straight back with the speed that they come at as well.
Yeah, and one thing I will say for both of them, even though they're now out injured, is I have been very impressed with their defensive duties, both Kakachi and Kabore.
You can just tell how much of a difference it is that when they're on the defensive side, you can just tell how different it is in terms of when we go into attack and defense and how quick we switch. And our ball carrying game changes so differently when we just go forward with them as well. Pass it through the middle, they start running forward, and we have our middle game, you'd see Kabore somewhere in the middle of the line, take it to there, he runs forward. If they can't get through there, pass it back to the middle, go to the left. And they're just stuck. And you can tell by the defense they're having to shift back and forward to try and deal with this, but slowly we're just pinning them in every time. Yeah. That's how what we're doing is we're using a pincer tactic towards them. We're slowly pinning them in and choking them out.
Yep, I agree. Okay, guys, I think we are near the end of today's show. So you have about 2 minutes to throw up some new topics in case I missed anything. But we will just finish off this topic and then we'll be done unless you can come up with something. So Scum Army is here again with the comments. Wrexham's finish to the season is harder than most, to be honest. I think reaching playoffs and building on that would be brilliant for Wrexham and be stable and a more stable squad. Yes, we're still working on it. We are new to the league. We need to figure all this stuff out, but we are doing well so far. And Gemler had an interesting one here. If you buy a new squad and they need time to gel, it's hard to get the points when you're not at your best until the second half of the season. I get the general gist of what you're saying, and I do agree with that. But the second half of the season is when you want to be doing your best and getting your best points. And we have an upper ceiling better than I would hope a lot of clubs, because we're going to upgrade, and we are still upgrading, and we're still getting there. A lot of other teams are going to be very similar, and I would hope that it's a situation where we are getting stronger and other teams will be getting weaker, because a lot of other teams won't be able to go out into the market in January and bulk up, whereas I think we will. So, okay.
You saw that comment. You saw that
yes,
comment, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. Right. So we have our On That Bombshell. All right. Now, if you've not been paying attention to the comments, then this may not make sense to you. However, we have had a draw. We are doing well. We are within sniffing distance of the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. So here is the bombshell of the night. Pin and choke. Sounds like a fun night. On bombshell, guys, have a good night. Take care. And I will see you soon after the next match. And on Monday, we will have Champ Chat. So if you want more general talk about the league, about other teams, come and join me and John Merrill on Monday night UK time. And we will go through the Champ Chat. Thanks, guys. I'm out of here. Bye.